Good. And see, that's the fun thing with pickup teams in Splatoon. You know, sometimes these teams just want to have a paragraph long name, which, in my opinion, funny tee hee ha ha until you're a commentator, then you want to cry a little bit. But here we come in with the first game with looks like Better Call Saul on pink and Velocity on green. And it looks like we're starting off here on Zones Manta. And as I say that, you know, I vomit a little bit in the back of my throat. But we're just gonna get right into the game here.
Indeed. Two ball points coming out on both sides, actually, which is kind of interesting. But just Saul here looking to hold mid as well as Velocity. No one getting any trades yet. We see a Crab here coming out for Velocity. Two members going down, one for each side. Just both teams fighting back and forth for mid. As Velocity here is just holding control of zones, getting a little bit of a lead so far.
But with the double zone maps, it's always kind of hard to capitalize on that. I feel like with any double zone, it's always really hard. You're getting the one zone, and the next thing you know, you forget about the second one. So you're like, you should be ticking down at the timer, but then you remember that it's a two-zone map. So you hate to see the 100 with the +1 penalty on Saul here. That's the curse of double zones, of getting penalized, being at 100%. Am I right, Soda?
It's truly a little heartbreaking every time you see it, but you know, not taking away any of the funniness to it. But two members going down for Saul, as this is Velocity's chance to push up now, trying to lock out Saul here. But just having full control of mid is definitely something you're looking for on Manta zones right now.
And I feel like with Manta in general, once you're able to lock them out, there's not too much that you can do. Taking control of the enemy team's bunker and their street is always really huge on Manta. And as I say that, that's 3 going down on the side of Velocity, and Saul being able to chip away at that one penalty and starting to get their push here, ticking away at their splat zone timer and getting a beautiful pick here on Velocity with the jet, and hopefully trying to get another one, but pushing back Velocity very far with the ballpoint taking their bunker, which is a very strong position for a ballpoint on this map.
Indeed. But here we see Velocity having 3 specials, just now popping one of the jets and popping the other two, the Crab and the other jet, trying to take back mid here as Saul takes the lead here, in fact. But Velocity trying to find these picks, gets one member down, but Saul still chipping away at this lead here, just continuously making it bigger and bigger. But 2 members of Saul going down. This is now Velocity's chance to come back into mid and just get something going.
And that was definitely a very interesting play for the side of Velocity here, popping 3 specials at once, a Crab and 2 Inkjets at the same time. They weren't able to capitalize on that right to begin with, but they do finally now have their footing together and are starting to chip away at their penalty. And they're almost completely done with their penalty, possibly looking at taking the lead from Saul here.
Indeed, but here we see the Machine using their Booyah, trying to take control of their bunker instead of going for a zone to contest it. Interesting decision here, but 2 members going to try one on each side going down here. Another going down for Velocity. Now there's a 3-2 situation. Saul looking to try and push into mid here, but Velocity not letting up at all. Just holding their ground on in mid, just chipping away at this lead, just making it bigger and bigger ever so slightly. But a member goes down of Velocity. Saul's looking to make a push as 2 members of Velocity go down, but they do lose one of their own. 3 going down on the side of Velocity, but now it's a 2-1 situation.
And that is definitely the opportunity for Saul to be able to capitalize on and get the zone, which they did. Beautiful play from the side of Saul here. So now we see if Velocity is going to be able to come back in and take the zone back from Saul, with 1 going down on each side here, but Saul being juiced up with the juice coming out. But an Inkjet on the side of Velocity. It is just a complete battle in mid, and it looks like Saul is possibly coming on top with only 45 seconds left on the clock. Saul is gonna need to be able to keep this zone and see if they can completely tick down their penalty.
Indeed. They're running out of time with 2 members of Saul going down. This is not what you want to see in the last 30 seconds of the game, as Velocity takes complete control of mid. chipping away at their penalty. Saul really needs to just build up specialists and quickly too, so they can start moving back to mid with only 20 seconds left of the game to go.
And if I was on Team Saul right now, I'd be sweating just slightly, especially with 2 going down and only 9 seconds left on the clock, with Velocity still having the zone, popping an inkjet, keeping the zones, and it looks like the first game is going to Velocity.
Indeed. What a strong first game for Velocity. You know, just assert when they get into mid, they were just holding it down, just not letting up at all. Saul just having a little bit of issues, just staying alive and getting any picks of their own. But we'll have to see if anything changes going into the second game. Saul just have such an incredible presence throughout the entire game. But here we go, loading into Tower Control Hagglefish. We have Saul House on the orange side, and Velocity is going to be on the blue side.
Here we go, and we see a Stringer coming out on the side of Velocity. That is definitely a very interesting pick. We did see a Stringer earlier today. We've been seeing Stringers in the comp scene a little bit more frequently lately, and I'm definitely happy to see it. I love to see different weapons played. It definitely makes the commentary and watching a little bit more interesting. And you know, it's kind of gets a little sad seeing 3 splashes and a machine on it consistently. So it's always nice seeing a little bit of a different weapon comp here. But see, we have a Jet coming out first, trying to get some picks and being able to get 1 pick, 2 picks on the side of Velocity, 3 picks on the side of Velocity. And this is going to be the amazing first push coming out from Saul.
Saul House just absolutely getting the picks they need to just get this first push going. But if they don't start holding forward and, you know, trying to lock out Velocity, this will give Velocity an easy entrance to just stop this push from Saul House. But it looks like two members from Saul House going down here. This is now Velocity's chance to break out of their base and just try and make try and come back from this and try and push into mid again.
And that was definitely very good defense coming out from Velocity here, only letting Saul House push it to 50. And so Velocity is definitely capitalizing right now, trying to take control of mid and pushing just the tower just a little bit further. But with 1 going down on each side here, it looks like the tower is just going to whittle its way back into mid. And we're currently at this stalemate and seeing who's going to be able to get another push going here.
Indeed, with 2 members down on each side, one being on Velocity, one being on Saul House. It's just a battle of mid. Who can get more picks just to start this tower push? And it looks like Saul House is just gonna start this tower push already without getting any picks, but just holding mid still. As you see, Crab coming out from Velocity, unable to find anything, unfortunately though.
And even though the picks weren't happening there, they were juiced up and they were raring ready to go. But it sounds like the juice just wasn't enough to be able to start momentum going. But with, it looks like 2 going down on the side of Velocity here, this is another great opportunity for Saul to start pushing this tower. Even though they do have the lead, it still is only a 50 lead and was unable to get to the second checkpoint. So now is a great opportunity for them to start pushing forward and seeing if they can back up Velocity even further than they already will.
Indeed, we see Saul House getting very close to their previous lead before, as Velocity is now popping out the crowd, trying to stop this tower from going any further, as 2 members of Velocity actually go down and only 1 on Saul House. It's looking like Saul House is still pushing the tower, getting it to 47, but still looking for another push, possibly going for that second check.
And here they are getting so close to the second check, and they're at the second check with 3 going down on the side of Saul. This is the moment for Velocity to move forward, go forward. This is a fast-paced game. Get your booty on the other end of the map right now. And let that tower go back. And you can see Velocity getting that momentum going forward with 2 specials online for Velocity. This is looking like a very strong first push for Velocity, and possibly going to see if they can take the lead here.
Indeed, with them popping a Crab, and Azuka still unable to find anything, unfortunately, though. But now we see Saul House coming to stop this tower with his Crab, able to find the pick on the Nautilus, now setting Velocity down 2 members, and this is unfortunately looking like the end of Velocity's push.
You hate to be Velocity right now with that tower sadly going back to mid, and then Saul juiced up, rare and ready to go, looking to get their push back going. And it looks like actually they're just gonna leave in mid and take mid control with only a minute left on the clock, and with a 40-point lead and Velocity not even having that first check, them possibly taking that middle defensive position right now is a good sign for Saul, because in the last minute you definitely don't want to start to drop and want to start getting those specials. And it looks like, as I say that, they're trying to push the tower a little bit further to see if they can capitalize on it, but with one going down on the side of Saul, we're going to see if Velocity can capitalize on this.
The Velocity really needs to take this time to build specials, start a push going, as we only have 30 seconds left into the game. They still haven't even got past that first check. They're really going to need these specials and just absolute control of mid if they want to try and go for lead and overtime.
Very true, and the thing is with tower control, one GG special and it's just game over. And with 10 seconds left, and with Velocity trying to get this push here, they have a crab on the tower and Rain going out, one going down on the side of Saul, and a Zuko coming out on the side of Velocity, but it looks like two going down, but yep, there's the push.
3 unfortunately going down on the side of Velocity. Saul House just showing absolute dominance the entire game, not giving Velocity any chances of getting a push going, unable to get even past that first check. What an absolute outstanding performance from Saul House we saw there.
Very true, and that leaves currently the score 1-1. So
it's quite an interesting map with the that left and right flanks that just like kind of wrap around in mid. But it's gonna be interesting to see what these two teams end up doing as they traverse mid. But here we see Saul House with the ball point and Velocity coming back out here with the jet. We'll see how these two teams approach mid and approach this first fight.
Very true, and it looks like on the side of Velocity, we love to see the ink brush on the Clam Blitz. So we're going to see if this ink brush is going to have any sneaky little plays coming in with Clam Blitz here. And it looks like always right at the beginning we love to see that battle in mid, gaining specials and seeing who can get the first pick. And it looks like the first pick is going to be on the side of Velocity here. Even with the juice up on the side of Saul, they are unable to get any picks, and some mega aggression coming out from side Velocity.
Indeed, pushing Saul House all the way back to their base, but as I say that, 3 members of Velocity going down. This is now Saul House's chance to get into mid, grab clams, and start setting up for a push. But will Velocity be able to hold their side of the map and just set up for defense, waiting for Saul House to try and make this push, but then countering it and punishing their every move?
Very true, and I will say, like we mentioned, considering Barnwell Dime is such a kind of a new map here, I feel like getting that first push is very difficult, because it seems like the clam basket is just so far into the enemy team's base. So you really need to capitalize on those picks and those pushes, and as I'm saying that, Better Call Saul is getting this first push against Velocity here, bringing it all the way down to 47, getting in a couple more clams, keeping that timer open, getting it to 35, but 2 going down, and it looks like that might be the first push for Saul, bringing it all the way down to 32, and let's see if Velocity can come back from this.
Indeed. 32 is not a bad lead, considering we've only 2 minutes into the game. Saul House, what an incredible push, but now it's Velocity's turn to take control of mid, get some clams, and start setting up. Now we see the Jet popping their special, trying to take some more control of mid. Azuka coming out by the shot. Let's see if they can get anything here. And they do. 2 members of Saul going down. This is now Velocity's chance to try and push up and get something going.
Yeah, but with only having, looks like 13 clams online here, you know what they say in Clam Blitz, sharing is caring. You know, you need to get them footballs, you need to get them clams. You know, I know you want to be stingy with your clams, they're shiny, and I know shiny things are very tempting to keep, but you gotta share your clams to your teammates and get those footballs. And it looks like Team Velocity here has got 2 footballs online and 23 clams, which is a huge amount, and maybe even enough to be able to take a lead here. So we'll see if Velocity is able to capitalize on these 3 down on Saul, getting in both of their footballs, taking it all the way down to 60, but struggling to get in any more clams.
Indeed, indeed. You know, this is a great first push for Velocity, but two members going down. This looking like a very scary push, but they do get it down all the way to 37, just so close to taking the lead, but are running out of time, and it seems like they are not going to be able to get any more clams, and that's going to be the end of Velocity's push.
And I feel like with this map in particular, a lot of the clams are very scattered along this map. So once you get that first push going, it's really hard to find follow-up clams because they're just in mid, they're in all the way back into your base. So it's just really hard to get those first initial very large pushes. But with both teams getting it all the way down to 32 and 37 in their first pushes, that is definitely very huge. The game is very close and can definitely go either way with a minute left. But with two footballs going on the side of Saul here, bringing down, completely getting rid of their penalty and bringing it down to 23. This is looking really good for side of Saul right now. Even if it seems like the time is ticking away, this is going to be very hard for Velocity to come back now.
Indeed, indeed. Saul getting their lead shortened just by a little bit, but that penalty is back up. Only being 21 though, so it's not too bad. But Saul just trying to hold their side of the map as Velocity is setting up, is trying to get this push. And with only 40 seconds remaining, so they do need a couple of clams just to get that video 31 down, which is quite a lot actually. It's going to take a lot from Velocity to try and take this lead, and they actually have to go into overtime here.
But I mean, with two footballs, it looks like seeming two footballs on the side of Velocity here, they will be able to take care of their penalty if they're able to get both of those in. But with one going down on two going down on this side of Saul here, it's not looking too good.
Indeed, here we see Velocity taking the lead with only 5 seconds remaining. Team Saul House is gonna really need to get these picks to get Velocity out of their base, and just gonna have to go. Honestly, they're out of time. They just need to get these picks. They need to grab these clams and just go open the basket and try and take that lead.
And like I mentioned, those two picks going down the side of Saul right when it was so close to the end of the timer was very bad on that side. But you know, sometimes dying is hard. Not dying is hard, bro. So, but Velocity was able to capitalize on that and end up taking the lead with 5 seconds remaining.
Indeed, and we saw a very nice attempt from Saul, just trying to get that last push in, even in overtime, and got very close, but unfortunately didn't have enough time to get those balls.
To Splatoon 3, I was definitely one of those people that definitely cried in the corner. What about you, Soda?
I definitely was as well. It's not a favorable map in my opinion. But here we go, loading into the game. Splat Zone's Humpback. We are seeing a heavy come out on the team Saul House, and we are not seeing any backlines actually coming out from Velocity, but instead we are seeing that Nova that tends to farm for Jets.
I was gonna say, yeah, but we have a Nova coming out. Neither team's pulling out an Explode, makes Kurt cry just a little bit, but we do still have 3 buckets in total in this map. So we'll see which team is going to capitalize on this zone first, and it looks like it is going to be pretty stalemated to begin with, but it looks like Velocity is pushing forward here and capitalizing on this zone.
Indeed, a couple of members from Velocity going down, a couple from Saul. It is a stalemate, as you said, but I also like how you mentioned about the sloshers. This is definitely a very slosher favorable map, which is all these hills and humps. But as we see Saul House coming in to taking out a couple members of Velocity and just taking control of mid now, taking their turn trying to get this lead going.
And here we see with a 70-80 but a 23 penalty. That's the thing with zones. It's like you think that you have the lead, but you could have a lead all the way into 1, but then your penalty just gets like 60, and you're basically back to square one. So really with zones, it doesn't matter what kind of lead you have. If you have a large penalty, it's really hard to come back. And like you mentioned, with Humpback Pump Track being a very back and forth kind of slosher bucket map mode, and with both of them coming out with seemingly good comps, it's going to be really hard to see which team is going to capitalize on Humpback Pump Track.
Indeed, we see Velocity here taking control of mid, starting to get a bit of more of a lead here, counting down past 50 almost, and this Crab looking to take some control, almost dying to this machine here, but a member of Saul House going down, so now it's a 3-4 situation, as Velocity is just gaining more and more of a lead. Saul House is really running out of time to try and take control of mid, as this Booyah is trying to help and contest, but they do take the zone here.
It looked like a Booyah and possibly 2 Jets coming out on the side of Saul House there, being able to take that zone from Velocity. So that was definitely some very good coordination there in regards to the Booyah and the 2 Jets. But let's see if they sadly weren't able to keep control of the zone, but they were able to put a penalty. So let's see if they're able to come back.
Indeed. It's just a stalemate in mid right now, but Saul House losing 2 members, which is not what you want to see right now, as Velocity just maintaining their hard control of mid, counting away at, chipping away at that penalty, trying to take this lead again and make it extend even longer, if not even take the whole game.
Very true, and we love to see the Zipcaster Brush coming out here, getting a nice pick here on Saul House, just continuing to completely dominate. I will say, we talked about the buckets, but Brush I feel like is also very strong on this map, especially the one with the Zipcaster, is just able to brush around, do brushy things, you know, and especially Zipcast over those humps and get those picks. And 2 specials coming out on the side of Velocity here with the double jet being able to take back their zone.
Indeed, you see here Velocity just maintaining so much control of mid, already counting down towards their lead, trying to extend it. And Saul House is getting real desperate, as it is a 3v3 currently. The fight for mid, another member of Saul House going down. It's looking like Velocity is trying to take this game and the set.
Very true, and with these last few remaining picks, it looks like Velocity is going to end up taking the game and making this a 1-3.
What an incredible performance from Velocity in these past 2 sets. Just absolutely showing dominance and just not letting up whatsoever.
Very true, and having some very interesting picks when it